My name is Ruth Ann Lane, and you are joining us on the Elementary Project-Based Learning page. It's great to see you. I'm on a new computer, so I'm really excited about speaking with you today, but if you can't hear me at any point, please let me know because this is my first time going live with this computer. It has been a very long time since we chatted, so talked? We'll just go with talked. So I'm really excited to talk about today's topic. Today's topic is all about how do we come back from a long break or from maybe school cancellation if you are in an area that's getting pounded with ice and snow right now, and reinvigorate our students' passion for our PBL unit. I know many people have been out of school for almost up to 2 weeks with inclement weather. We have schools that, are going to hybrid learning and then coming back. And then we have spring break coming up. So if you're in the middle of a PBL unit and your unit is maybe bigger than what you had planned, or, looking at your plans, you are now about to head into spring break in the middle of your PBL unit. What do you do when those things occur? If you have a strategy that you already have, that you think is really helpful, post it in the comments below. We would love to hear your wisdom. But for me, I do what's called a re-entry event. And I'm going to talk with you all about what a re-entry event is, how to know if it's right for you, and kind of some different re-entry events that you can do with your classroom. I wrote a blog entry about this. I literally just published it like 10 minutes ago. So if you are someone who likes to read blog entries, this is definitely the place to head. I just posted it in the comments, and I'm going to post this video in that same spot too on the webpage. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about what a re-entry event is. So a re-entry event is going to be great for your students if the following things would apply to you. So maybe, and if you have been part of our page for a while, you know I like to have notes. So looking at my notes over here, I'm not trying to be rude. So some things that might qualify your classroom for a re-entry event. Maybe you are just coming back from a long break that you weren't expecting. Maybe you are coming back from a break that is planned, like spring break. Maybe you had students who were really passionate about a PBL unit, and for some reason, through the work that you've been doing to get to that end product, sometimes their enthusiasm wanes, even if it's something that they have totally been running themselves. Sometimes you just need a re-entry event to reinvigorate your students' excitement. Oh yeah, this is the cause that we're going towards. This is the problem that we're solving. We forgot in the middle of this work, and we as adults need that sometimes. Sometimes we need to be, jazzed up and excited again about something. So that's really what a re-entry event serves purpose for. You also may have many of your students coming from e-learning. So maybe, heading into a new quarter, your school or district has decided, hey, we're going to bring some of our students back now. And you have a lot of students coming back into your classroom. Even if you were doing a PBL unit that was hybrid, so half your class is out and half your class is in, if you're bringing your students back together, it might be a good idea to do a re-entry event to just kind of bring them together as a unified class again. Okay, so those are some of the things that might qualify you for a re-entry event. There might be others as well, but those are kind of the main ones. Just if your students kind of need to be reminded of what their PBL unit is about, or if they need to be reinvigorated or re-excited, if you need to light that fire and that passion again. Okay, so why are these reentry events important? We've talked about like re-engaging those students in the unit topic, but also if you've been out for a long time, if you've been out for a break, then it can be really important for your students to show you again what they know and what they need to know about their PBL unit topic. If I've been out for a week, 2 weeks, I've gained new experiences. I've done new things. I might have more background knowledge now about our unit topic. So revisiting those knows and need to knows Sometimes that in and of itself can serve as a great uh, reentry event. But also, there may be things that your students knew and now they've forgotten. What were some of those things that our community partner wanted us to do again? I can't remember. It's been such a long time. So, reentry events do a great job of like reestablishing some of the things that your students are working towards, some of those requirements. For example, if they're working on a presentation, you want to make sure that if that presentation was supposed to serve a specific goal, maybe going deeper than just going over the rubric again, getting them passionate about it by showcasing or having that community partner come back in and talk with them. Okay, so reevaluating your nose and need to knows, it can also serve as a great reminder to your community partners. A reentry event kind of talks with your community partners again too. And if it's been a long time for your students, then it's probably been a long time for your community partners. So a reentry event, if you're working really closely with a community partner, can really kind of serve as like a hey, I know I've been emailing you during break telling you we're still not back in class yet, but here are our students again, and we're really excited to get back to it with you. Kind of reminding those adults too. So not only for our students, but reentry events can be great for our community partners too. Okay, so that's the when and the why. I'm going to kind of move on to some different ways. And that blog entry that I shared also has a graphic, an infographic in it. I'm going to post it again later this week to kind of remind you guys of the topic that we talked about this week. But the infographic on there kind of talks about the different ways that you can use a reentry event for. So let's go ahead and talk about some of those. The first way that you can use a reentry event, or the first way to re-enter your PBL unit, is to just kind of review that first entry event that you did. Now, this is the most powerful re-entry event for students who come back into your classroom and they're asking you about that PBL unit. Hey, we're really excited about this PBL unit. When are we going to get back into the PBL unit that we were doing before our break? When are we going to get back into this? Then your re-entry event really is serving more to reassess your nose and need to knows, and then reestablish any community partner relationships. So just reviewing whatever you did before as your entry event can be a really powerful way to re-enter your PBL unit. Also, coming back in, you may be entering into a section of the unit that you planned. So maybe your students had decided that they wanted to do a presentation. And coming back, you're about to get started into those presentations. So doing a small entry event, something that kind of jumpstarts your students into that section of the PBL unit, can be really powerful. If it was a presentation, maybe having somebody who gives professional presentations come and talk to your kids to get them excited about their presentation. Maybe reaching out to the previous speakers at graduation ceremonies, previous valedictorians, getting those older kids in there to come and talk with your kids about speaking and public speaking and presentations. That can really get your kids excited about a certain element within your PBL unit, and through that kind of reinvigorate their passions. The next one that I would suggest would be something like a field trip. Now, I know with COVID, field trips are very different right now, but looking forward into the future and even thinking about now, I think that a field trip is a really great way to kind of re-engage your students in their PBL unit. Maybe you can go someplace in your community and see the problem or challenge that your PBL unit is posing. Or, if you can't actually physically go someplace, then maybe doing a virtual field trip. And as PBL facilitators, we look for very specific things in our field trips. So sometimes virtual field trips can be really difficult for us to find those specific things that we're looking for. In that, I found that one of the most empowering ways to create virtual field trips is to make them myself, to create that experience that I'm wanting my students to have. If I make my own virtual field trip, then it's way more empowering for my students and they get exactly what it is I wanted them to get out of that. So with that in mind, there's a link on the blog that I posted for a specific video that I actually find is really helpful. It's made by a woman named Riley White. I don't know her. I'm not affiliated with her. She's not paying me to give her a plug. I just really found this video helpful. I'm not going to lie to you, there is some kind of annoying audio music that she has in the background, but she really does a great job of screen sharing and walking you through exactly how she makes a virtual field trip. And I actually love, especially for primary kiddos, this way that she does it with a map. I think that a map with clickable points is really easy for our primary kiddos, especially to navigate. So be sure to click on that blog entry and check out her video because I really think it's helpful. So if that's something that you want to do, I think it's maybe like 12 minutes, maybe, so not even really that long. Okay, field trips. Another great way to re-enter a PBL unit. Another part is to, yes, is to meet with your community partner. So we kind of talked about that already a little bit. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but we know that community partners provide that authenticity for our project-based learning units. They really help students see real-world connections, and especially if our community partners' role in our PBL unit is to kind of mentor and work with our students throughout the entire unit. If that's the case, then having them come in and remind the students instead of us reminding our students of the unit can be so powerful. And it really just reminds the students that this unit that we're doing, it's really solving a real world problem or challenge. You know, this work is important that you're doing. It's authentic work. It's real world work. You have an impact on the world. So we need to get back to this because the world is waiting. So a community partner though is going to really light that fire a lot stronger than the facilitator is going to. Okay. All right, and my last kind of way to jump into reentry events is to kind of present the same problem or challenge from a different angle. So what I mean by this is if your problem has to do with hunger in your community, finding either a new community partner or a different article or an image even from your community. Maybe you could talk with your students about, hey, I was driving down the street and I saw a person outside that looked like they really needed our help. You know, we still see so many people in our community that look like they need help. Let's talk about that a little bit. Did anybody else see anybody that looked like they needed help in our community? So just kind of approaching the exact same problem and looking at it from a different angle and presenting it to your students a little bit differently. This might take you down the road to a different end product than what you originally had planned, but I think it also gives students the opportunity to get reinvested in your PBL unit. This one is particularly good, I think, for any kind of enthusiasm that's waned in your PBL unit. So if your students are just kind of not feeling the unit that they've taken you down anymore, presenting that same problem from a different angle can kind of give them the opportunity to, you know, still be passionate about what it is they were passionate about, but look at that problem differently and brainstorm different ways to solve it. Okay. So my final tips for re-entry events, how we kind of tackle this avoiding the loss of interest in our PBL unit or bringing our students back to that PBL unit after an unexpected break. My last things are kind of two housekeeping. I think that it's important to make sure that before you do a re-entry event, you reestablish that classroom management. For first year teachers, this is really important. When you come back from a long break like that, you want to make sure that you're reestablishing those classroom management strategies. And for first year PBL teachers, that means that you're looking at some of those PBL foundational skills, like how are your students working in groups. Maybe you could do a quick STEM challenge with your kiddos to reestablish protocols, and this is how we work in groups, and this is what group norms look like, just kind of reminding them about some of those PBL specific classroom elements. And then also trying to avoid re-entering a PBL unit right before the work begins, because you may need to plan or adjust your PBL plans depending on what those know and need to knows look like when you revisit them. So if you're diving into a re-entry event for a PBL unit, give yourself a small window after, like depending on your planning style, however many days you think you might need to readjust your PBL plans, because you may need to go back and review something. You may need to skip something because your students have an experience with it that taught them already that concept. So you want to make sure that you are adjusting those PBL plans accordingly. So try to make sure that your re-entry event is done with a couple of days window to adjust your plans. And that is all for me on re-entry events. I hope that you all could hear me on this video. And don't forget to click in the comments to see that blog post. I really think I go a little bit deeper into some of what we talked about today, and it's organized a little bit better with some bullet points and things. So all right, that's it for me. Please make sure that you tune back next Monday at 8 p.m. We're going to be talking about some books, and I will reveal that topic to you later on this week. If you haven't had a chance yet, please head back to our main page and look at the survey. Love to have your thoughts and input, things that you would like for me to cover, things you'd like for me to do lives about or blog about, and any resources that you're wishing you had. Some of it I may not be able to help with, but a lot of it I think I can. So fill out that survey and let me know what you're thinking. All right, I will see you next Monday. Bye.